So I just watched Feral Scream Part 1, and I can't help but wonder if the Beast Wars writers knew how to handle tone in their shows. First off, before we begin, thank you very much for your patience. I know this has been a long time coming. I do apologize for the wait, and I appreciate all the support in the meantime. Also, we are currently at the point where the Beast Machines episodes are unlocked, so I need to get through all of these. And then at the end of the month, if we are at, we're at the level still, when we get to March 1st, we will be doing this. And we'll change up the format. There'll be like a nice layout. It'll look a lot nicer. We'll do multiple image examples throughout the episodes. But for now, I'm sticking to the main format just for the sake of consistency. And we'll do that for the rest of the series. So we'll polish it up once we get to the next show. But what we're doing right now is Beast Wars Season 3, Feral Scream Part 1. So this is the episode that introduces us to Transmetal 2s. It brings back Dinobot, and it gives us something of a kind of poorly handled mystery story for Cheetor. We'll kind of get into that here in a bit. So it starts off with a stasis pod. We haven't had a stasis pod episode in a long time, and in fact, this will be the final one of the entire series. The difference here is that it is a blank. For some reason, Megatron wants a blank protoform. And throughout this situation, the situation is that Primal's trying not to destroy the protoform. Cheetor is actually just trying to stop Megatron, period, even going so far as to try and, sniper him out of the air and risk the protoform. The thing is, Cheetor is entirely right in this situation. Primal is saying, right now, it's innocent, and I'm screaming, it's a blank, it's dead. Right now, the only thing that could come of that protoform is Megatron creating a new Predacon. So if that is the result, and it's not like Maximals have spare sparks lying around, you finish off the protoform. Right now, it's a corpse, essentially. Cheetor's entirely right here. I don't know why Primal's fighting so hard for something that is essentially already dead. But that's Primal. I guess that's just Primal being Primal. But it leads to a little bit of a discourse between Cheetor and Primal, which I'm not entirely agreeing with, and leads Cheetor to go off on his own once again to prove himself, because that's what Cheetor does. And this time he's got Depth Charge backing him up, who is not the right role model here. In this situation, and actually in this episode, it's actually a rare occurrence where we actually get to see both the tank mode and the beast mode for Optimal Optimus, and it's both in cases of, we're just using it for the sake of using it, just to remind you that it exists. Hey, go buy the toy. So, once we deal with that, we get to see the big experimental place that, which is very, very, they're throwing back to Frankenstein and some very classic horror movie tropes being thrown about in this episode. Rat Trap even to, delivering the, "Yes, master," that kind of thing. So, it is the introduction of the Transmetal Driver, what creates the Transmetal 2s. There is no explanation for where Megatron got this, how it's been modified, what the device was originally. I presume that when he took control of the Vox spaceship, that is when he got it. That's literally the only explanation. That's literally the only time he could have obtained something like this. So, yeah, it's just this big, it's a mystery magic MacGuffin that never really gets explained at all. Ever. I think the 3H comics tried to add a little bit more to it, but still we don't know where Megatron got it or how he knows how to make it work. But it does succeed in firing up the dead protoform thanks to the spare spark of Rampage. I do like that what was essentially meant to control Rampage is now paid off into a way of creating a brand new character. So that's cool. And I say brand new character. It's a clone of Dinobot. It's Transmetal 2 Dinobot. Now, it would be a weird choice. Why bring back such a treacherous character, your most infamous traitor? But in this situation, it works because Megatron has had a history of cloning Dinobots, so if you're going to try an experiment like this, it makes sense to use the one you're most familiar with. Already cloned him once, so now we're going to clone him for real this time. And yeah, okay, so it worked out. In a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff, I will tell you that Scott had no idea that the clone Dinobot was going to be this zombie skeletal raptor thing. If he had known, it would have been, according to him, far more of like an undead approach. He would have added a little bit of like an undead tone to Dinobot's voice. So he kind of wishes he had known, so he could portray the character a little bit differently. But I still find a little bit of difference in the story and how he's portrayed. I do think it helps that Dinobot 2's combat style is so savage and brutal compared to the more refined swordsmanship of Dinobot. It really does bring out a difference between the two, even if Scott thinks there wasn't one in the depiction. There's a moment in this scene where Cheetor has just come face to face with a new Dinobot, and he's behind rocks with Depth Charge, and he actually asks Depth Charge, "Is that Dinobot?" And Depth Charge answers as if he actually knows who Dinobot was, which is a weird moment. But it's aside. It's just a weird little establishment moment. It's followed by what is technically Cheetor's death scene, where he rips the driver out of the machine and gets caught in the wave, gets blown up. One of the biggest explosions in the show, severely damages everybody, and somehow does not kill Cheetor. For a while, there is some tension because they show some scraps of Cheetor flying off. You don't know exactly what happened. And then later on, they just show Cheetor alive. And there's something weird happening to him that we don't have an explanation of in this episode. But it's just Cheetor's alive. So all that tension just completely cut. They really felt like they could have pushed this a little bit farther. And it seems like they failed to do it, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think there's a missed opportunity in these two episodes. Depth Charge also shows a few cracks in his armor here. When he realizes what happened, he actually seems remorseful for Cheetor's sacrifice. Which is a weird tone for him. And compliments him when he reports it to Optimus Primal. Though there is still the original Depth Charge in there. He's very to business when it comes to the driver. He scans it, finds out what it is, and then immediately tries to chuck it in the lava. So very much back to basics for him. Still very much the stern, to business guy. But of course, this is the part where Black Arachnia swoops in and salvages the driver, setting up an eventual coming around for her. But what I like about this is that in the moment, if you don't know the series already, and you haven't seen the toys that are about to come out, which, in 1998 you would not have, I love that it plays into this suspicion that she's not quite on the up and up. We've seen her stealing things from the Maximals and sneaking them off on her own. We have seen her, kind of scurrying around and making her own agendas. Similar to how she was with the Predacons. So we're really not sure if she really has changed sides or not, or what her own machinations are here. We'll know eventually, and we'll know they're nothing bad per se, but it is something that adds a little bit to her mystery going on in these this front half of season 3. So I do enjoy that. We finish off. There's a fight scene at the end that we finish the episode off on, and it's... So when I say there's tone issues to these episodes, this is where it really strikes in, because it's really dark. There's a lot of tension build up. There's this mysterious creature running around and basically blindsiding all these Predacons, and poor Quickstrike gets ripped apart from behind the rock, so it was really bad if they couldn't show it. Now, to the audience, it's obvious what's happened here. Because, we've made Cheetor vanish, and then we've made this mysterious cheetah-like creature appear. Gee, I wonder what happened. But they play it as a mystery in this one. It's just a mysterious creature, and it's laying waste to Predacons. But it's going back and forth between this silly slapstick stuff and this really dark, tense moments of this creature stalking through the shadows, and just Predacon after Predacon not being able to stand up to it, even Transmetal 2 Dinobot, until it blindsides Megatron at full speed, sending him spinning on his own tail like Tasmanian Devil, complete with the noise, complete with him carving a piece of the rock next to him out as he buzzed by it. Very Looney Tune. And if that's not Looney Tune enough, he goes careening off a cliff, complete with a Wile E. Coyote cam, vanishing down below, puff of smoke when he impacts. The Beast Wars writers and directors, the people behind the show, really did like to throw in little tropes like that to classic cartoons and old school movies and all that, and that's fine. But when you're trying to have this like dark, tense moment and this kind of mystery going on, it feels really counterpoint to then turn to like this slapsticky stuff. And probably the most slapstick moment of the entire series. So the tone shift, I'm not a fan of. I really feel like they could have like played this up a little bit more serious and really gotten the tone across better. I guess for levity's sake, fine. But for the most part, I just feel like it was the wrong timing for it. So, overall, I'm giving the episode, now it's just one half of a story, so it's not totally fair, but I'm giving it a passable score. It's a good episode. It's an average Beast Wars episode. It's trying to do a lot in, you know, a 22-minute time span. But I feel like the tone shifts are off, and the mystery element could have been handled better for Cheetor. And we'll get into that even more in part 2. But for now, that's what I got for this episode. I'll leave you on one weird note. For some reason in this episode, Megatron's shoulder armor is like super small the entire episode. And I have no idea why. But that's what I got for you. Average episode. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you on the next one. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.